Hey, Instagram. Happy Thursday. Yeah, all day today it's Thursday. All day yesterday I thought it was Thursday and today was Friday, which is really interesting. Hi, Amanda. Woohoo! Um, so yeah, I'm excited to be here today. Amanda's going to join me in a little bit. We're going to talk about the power of, hey Geneva, the power of the human connection. So Amanda and I, hey Chris, Amanda and I have been actually talking about this for some time now, and we thought, well, not we, I thought, hey, how cool would it be to come on and maybe do like a little talk on a live? And normally we do it on Facebook, but today we decided we were gonna, I don't know why I keep saying we, because it's really just me, but I decided I wanted to try this on Instagram. So Amanda's going to come on in a minute and we're going to have a conversation about the power of human connection. But this was prompted, for me, it was prompted by a specific question. I'm doing a podcast with an organization called Depression to Extinction. You're going to see a lot about that on my Facebook page and my Instagram page here in a little while. Jeff Jackson is the founder and CEO of that company. And he and I were chatting, and during this podcast, he's going to ask me a question. I don't want to give it all away, but the question is, what fears me the most? Like, what am I afraid of the most? And I thought about, like, I operate from human needs psychology, around human needs psychology. And so one of them, I'll just go over them really briefly, and soon I promise I'll bring you on, Amanda. So there's certainty. We all want to feel certain that we have a roof over our head, food to eat, fresh water, air to breathe, safety and security in our home. Our car's going to get us to work. The chair that we're sitting on is going to hold us up, those sorts of things. There's certainty. Then there's uncertainty, which is the variety that we all seek. That piece of, if you're doing the same thing all the time, you get a little bored. So you have to have a little variety. Every time I come on here, I have to fix my hair. And then there's significance. We all want to feel special. We all want to feel like we bring something special to the table or to a relationship, which goes hand in hand with the fourth one, which is love and connection. And those are the needs that I feel are like the needs of the everyday being. And then there's the needs of the soul and the needs of the spirit, which are growth and contribution. So we're going to focus on the love and connection one. And that is my biggest fear, is not having that connection with other human beings, not having that love and connection, but it's really that power of connection, and it really does drive me. It really puts me in a place like I feel like it's like if you have these 6 human needs that you're trying to meet, and say, like, I'm just thinking about like a new relationship where it's feeling like you have that certainty that they're always going to be there, and there's like that new variety, and you're feeling really special with that person. That love and connection, like if you have 2 or 3 of those, it becomes addictive. So think about a new relationship. But it's then those long-term connections that really get you places. Like, I think connections are made for long-term life, and then some connections are made for a couple of days, and they're there for certain reasons. So that's kind of how this conversation got started. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Amanda, and I think, Amanda, you'll have to, when I say, you'll have to say I want to join. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but I'm going to experiment, so you guys will have to bear with me a little bit. So Amanda and I have been friends for a while. She is an author, and she's writing a book, and I'm excited to say that because this is something new for her. Over the last few months, she decided that she would dive into this, and she's doing an amazing job. So she's an author, and she's also a servant in her community. She goes out and she values her, hi Jocelyn, she values her community and the people that she makes that connection with in her community. And she works with vulnerable populations every day. So she's an amazing person, and I want to bring her on. So Amanda, I think if you say, I want to join, I can bring you on. If not, I'll have to figure out how to do this. So go ahead. I think there's just a tiny little delay, and we're going to make this work. Hey, Jackie. I'm excited you're here. She sent you a request. Okay, view. Go live with Amanda. Wow. Something's happening. Waiting for Amanda.
This is exciting. Come on, technology connecting. Woo-hoo. There she
Hi,
is. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh my gosh, Hazel's even like, oh my God, I know that person.
My Hazel baby.
Yes, yes. How was your day? Oh, she's gonna join the. She's there. She is. She's like,
Hi,
hey.
baby.
Oh, she's falling over. Sorry, y'all. But anyway, so thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. So like I said, we've been talking about this what seems like forever, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so I thought, how awesome would that be for us to just have this really cool organic conversation like we do when we're working out or going for a walk? And I know some of those things are pretty, private and we don't want to divulge a whole lot of information. So we're not going to go deep or anything like that. But I thought that would be kind of cool to just have that thought and that conversation with you. So, I was just saying like how like people are in your life for a really long time and sometimes they're just there to teach you something, but it's that connection. So Hazel's gonna knock this over. So I guess there's like a feeling we get, right? We talk about this, like it feels good to connect with people. So I don't know if you want to talk about an experience you had with maybe connecting with someone and what it maybe felt like for you.
Yeah, I think we've like you said, like we've talked a lot about like people come into your life, I think for a reason, and their purpose could be um to be long term, and it could be to make huge impacts, and also people can come in for a short time but still make just as impactful. I think it was when we were working out the other day that we listened to that thing about how you have people who are leaves and they're just there to for a season and then they're gone, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
the roots, and I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think an experience I can share is that there's connections with people where you know that it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life, and even if that person isn't necessarily with you for the rest of your life, what they brought or what you brought into their life will stay with you. The example I can think of is um, when I was younger, just living not great and not making the best of choices. This older person at a party just said to me, "Is this what you want to do? Is this who you want to be?" And he meant it in not a mean way, in like a genuine, like, "Is that who you want to be?" way. And being young and cocky and I'll do what I want kind of thing. And I remember though it stuck with me because it was a person who just saw a young girl like living a life that he probably was like, "What are you doing?" And he took the time to just say like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Is this really what you want to do?" And I feel like that's a connection that I will forever have because it made me honestly do soul searching that I wasn't ready to do. So it was that human connection of somebody saw something and said something. And I think that we don't do that. I think we're scared that the person will feel judged, or we're scared that we'll be judged. And you and me have talked a lot about it, that it's outside of our comfort zone, but it's so important to just go, make that connection because we're all humans. And I think that's what kind of brought us together is we saw each other for what it was, that
Right.
we I don't know, I saw it in you, I feel like, and hopefully you saw it in me because now we
Absolutely.
are connected.
Absolutely. So, thinking about that person in your life who made that statement or was in that moment for you and it made you think and it made the cogs in your brain just go crazy. And was it like an instant thing or was it like, oh, now I remember, like I think back then, like I thought about that then, but then kept partying and but then, here I am today and I'm writing a book and I'm serving my community and I'm an awesome, amazing human being. Like, is it at that point that you reflect on that connection or has it always been with you?
It stuck with me from the very get-go. I remember at
Mm-hmm.
first I wasn't ready to hear it in the intention that I think the person said it to me. At first I took it as like, "You don't know me, like how you don't have the right to come in and say anything like this to me." And I remember like getting angry, and like you said, I just kept going with my life for the minute and things like that. But I kept thinking about it, and eventually, whether I was cognizant of why I kept thinking about it, I eventually realized like something inside me doesn't like what this is like doing. And I think it was because subconsciously I was like, you need to think about the question, because I wasn't ready to answer it, if that makes sense.
Right,
And so when
right.
I finally was, or when I realized like the reason that this is settling or sitting with you for so long is because you want to answer this but you can't. or that you need to, but you're not ready or something.
Right. That's
And
amazing.
it wasn't until I got my shit together that I reflect back on what it really was.
Yeah. It's like in those moments where you're like, sometimes something happens. Like I'm thinking about a situation that happened today at this resiliency summit. Like I sat next to this person, and we've talked a lot about connections and people, and how some people you just are like, yes, I dig this person. I'm connecting with this person. And other people you're like, buttons are being pushed. Shit's not going well. I can't even be in the same room with this person. And that's what happened today. This person was at our table, and we're supposed to have these group discussions, and he was rude. He didn't let anyone speak. He was talking over people. And so at first I was like, I had a little bit of anxiety. I was like, we're trying to make this community connection about resiliency, and here's this asshole who can't even like listen to somebody get their opinion out before he's already saying something. And so I was like, what can I learn from that? Like, this isn't like necessarily a connection, but I keep going over here because he's sitting right next to me. But it's not necessarily a connection, but thinking about what you just said, there's maybe something I can learn from that. So I don't even know where I was going with that. So I was just laughing. That's what I do, right?
No, but I know, I think that's a solid point though, because I think people, and you have to be okay with that you're not going to have that connection with every single person that you meet, and that's okay. I mean, that's okay, because then it's fake.
Right.
And me and you have had tons of conversations of we have the human needs like you were talking about, and like you need that, and you value the love and connection, and there's friendship, and there's romantic, there's all sorts of connections you make every day, or and then if it's not genuine though, that, and then I feel like that can be damaging to both parties if that's what it is. And I know that you and me have both talked about it. I'm a huge person and huge believer in say what you mean, because
Right.
that's part of my and it's a need of mine, and I know it's a need of mine, but I need people to just tell me, because I don't know how, or it's not that I don't want to guess what your intentions are, what your motives are, because I'm going to take you at face value. And I feel like that is a huge thing for me when I look for that connection, especially like a friendship, love connection, or any kind of connection. I need to know that person says what they mean, and I want to be that person too, and I want it to be genuine, because I know that working with the population I do, with all I have, I want them to be able to trust what I say, because they're vulnerable. If I were to ever mislead or do anything like that, can you imagine how damaging that is to them and to me and to involved? And I just think it's important to always be genuine. Absolutely. And if you didn't feel that, maybe you weren't feeling that today, or maybe it was just that he wasn't allowing other people to be genuine.
Right, absolutely. And I think for me, it was like thinking about like, why is this situation pushing my buttons? Like, what is it about this person? And maybe it is, the space and the time and whatever's going on else in my life. But I was like so wanting this to be something like maybe I had it in my head how I wanted it to be. And when like you're having this gathering of community, and all of a sudden now there's this person who's self-serving and has his own agenda, it just didn't feel genuine, like you were saying. And so, and it's okay, like you said, it's okay to not have that connection. And like I'm trying to figure out, maybe the lesson, because I'm always looking for lessons, right? It's that growth thing. Like maybe the lesson today was, hey, that's a button that gets pushed, and how do I deal with it? And maybe that's the lesson he came in my life to teach me today. Is that the connection? Absolutely. Maybe.
Yeah. And I think I think you bring up a super important part, because sometimes you have to talk it out, right? With the people that you already have that connection with. Like, hey, feel like I've asked you countless times to help me check it. And sometimes because I'm comfortable with you and I know that you're going to always come at it with respect and love. And so sometimes you can say things that I might hear or be ready to hear differently than if I were to just overthink it in my head. And you might be like, hey, are you overthinking this, or was that really what was said, or are you doing this to yourself? And it's because I've had the connection we have, and I know that it's not self-serving and it's genuine, and you just want what's best, so I'm able to hear it differently. So I think you bring up a good point of sometimes you have to maybe let it sit or talk it out with somebody else so you can really feel or really get a grasp on it. And sometimes, like one of my best friends who I'm going to be in her wedding, we started out not liking each other at all, and then grew from there because we both got over our own egos.
Right. And ego does play a little bit in that, right? So whenever I say ego, especially like on a platform like this, I always preface it by saying ego is not a bad thing. It is absolutely not a bad thing, because there are times in our life where ego is necessary to keep us safe and those sorts of things. But sometimes it's really good just to set your ego aside and have and create that space. Like, I think about connections I've had with people, and and some of them, and I've had this like thought process, not just recently, but over a few years, like with friends that come and go in my life, and you might be talking with them every day or messaging them every day, or going over to their house or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden there's like this period of time where you may not hear from them for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, or it's just like sort of one word answers, and we start making shit up in our heads about what's going on. And so it's that ego that gets in there that's trying to protect you from, maybe they're just trying to tell you they don't like you anymore and they're just not going to communicate with you, or they don't want you over to their house, or whatever it may be. But I think it's like that space where you have to just set that aside and not make shit up and stories up in your head, and have those conversations with people like, hey, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. I know you've been busy. I know you have kids. I know you have whatever going on. Are you okay? What's going on? Or I thought of you today, and not make it like, what did I do wrong? Because the majority of the time we go in our head and we're like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Because we think if somebody's not connected with us anymore, we've done something wrong. And I think we as humans do that. Now, of course, us as women tend to do that a little bit more for whatever reason, bullshit reason. So I think there's that ego piece, and I'm just laughing again. So
I absolutely think you're right. Your last live, and I think you did one on Instagram too, about the art of journaling and things like that. And if you look back at maybe just even probably, it could be as simple as just looking back like a week ago, but I know for me in my writing process, I've looked back at a long time ago. There's times where you're not meeting those needs, so you go out seeking them, and you don't realize how damaging or unhealthy the connections you make are, because you overthink it, or in your head you make up the wrong story, like this person really loves me, or this person cares so much about me, and it doesn't matter that they do this toxic thing, or I'm doing toxic things because I crave it and I'm not willing to sacrifice it, and sometimes you search out that need for that connection and that love and that I feel like humans, we need something. We need someone. It doesn't matter what it is, but we crave that. And I feel like if you're not causing it, or you're not focusing, you damage yourself by searching in an unhealthy way. And we've talked a lot about that, and how do you recognize that? And when we both have talked about when is it okay to let go of a connection and say, it's time and it's okay.
Right. And I think that's a hard part, because you want to feel that feeling, like we've talked about, like, in the beginning of like a romantic relationship, or even like a friendship. Like, you have like that excitement that gets you going, and then all of a sudden it may not be there, right? Or it may be different, and you keep sort of like selling your true self or your authenticity just to try and get that feeling again. And I think that's where we can get in trouble with, these connections may not be serving us anymore, and it's okay, and it's painful, and it's probably better to just go now, or to have a conversation. Or I think where we sometimes get into trouble is we both said, we like make shit up in our head, and it's probably wrong, and mostly wrong. But yeah, it's right. It's like, how do you know? And it's really sitting with it in your space of being uncomfortable. Like, how do you know if it's time? And I think because you are asking yourself these questions, right? Like, what's going on? Why am I making this up in my head? It's like, at that point, you should probably think, maybe this is time. Maybe this is time. We both had that situation, I'm sure.
I absolutely agree with you. I think and I really think if we sat down and really thought about it, that need to have somebody in our life, and I don't know, what you would call it, but that need to have that connection with somebody is so deeply ingrained into us, but a lot of times we overlook it, or we don't realize it's okay. Or I don't know really how to describe it. I feel like I hear often sometimes, like, I can do everything by myself, and I can do everything and it's to me, I'm always like, but why do you? We all could, but why would we? We don't need to.
Mhm.
And it's
Right.
more find your tribe, find it, love
Yeah.
it, embrace it, and be happy and help other
Right.
people be happy. It's that easy.
Right. It is like, I think that, like you said, you build that tribe and you find that we're social beings, right? Since
Yep.
the beginning of time, we've like sought out tribes and groups and whatever, just because like it feeds us. It's a need. Like human psychology, it makes so much sense to me because it's a need. We are searching that out, and we do it in really healthy ways and we do it in not so healthy ways, and it's figuring out which ones are which. And I think about, I'm sure that everyone at some point in time has had a relationship, friendship, romantic, whatever, that was not so awesome, but you stay because of that certainty, right? You know it's going to be
Yep.
there. There's a little bit of variety. There's significance in a really unhealthy way. But it's that love and connection well, for most people, that keeps them going back because, I mean, what would you do without it? Like, I think about like this video I saw, and I'm going to have to find it again. It was about being in a crowded room of people, and some people feel alone and some people feel lonely. And there's a very big difference. And I think it's all because of our mindset. And sometimes there's like mental incapacities and those sorts of things. But sometimes it's just choosing that space and that connection that's kind of scary for some people, right?
Yeah.
It can be scary. Um, I think that that's like where we always kind of go, like, love and connection, and love is really scary, so we try to go for connection and then like sort of piece it together, right? Hazel's whining in the background. So yeah, it's amazing. I don't know, I feel like we've been talking about this forever. I don't want to keep a whole lot of people. There's a couple of people watching, but I don't want to keep you either. But any last thoughts about, this topic would be awesome. And then of course, if you want to talk about your book. If you want to talk about your book.
I think no. Final comments I just think would be that it's important, and I feel like just making my connection with you has really broadened my horizons and my thoughts about it, and it's just different ways of thinking about it and things like that. And I think that, I don't know, embrace the connections that you have and honor them for what they are, and realize it's okay if they're going to be short, it's okay if they're long in their roots, it's okay. I mean, and just be okay with it, and that, like you said, it don't get stuck in the story that you make in your head, because you can't see into the other person's head. And I think a big thing that you and me have worked with is just ask. We have the capability,
right.
Like, ask. And if that person
Right.
wants space, give it to them. If that person wants to not tell you, they don't have to, but you've done it, and you've done it.
Right.
Then.
Right,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I think about so here I am keeping going, right? So you spur these thoughts in my mind. Like, I think about the connections over the last few months that you and I have both made, because we were in that, in the Humber Start Accelerator group, where we made really cool connections. And that's where, I made a connection with Ryan Hartley. And then now it's like almost like that 6 degrees of separation thing. Like,
yeah.
Ryan and I were talking about that today, because I've asked a few people that I've met through his community to be on my radio show. And like, I have met somebody who's met somebody who met Ryan. Now I'm going to be on their podcast. So it's like this connection thing. And it's like, what are these connections all about? And like, why? Like, one of the questions I had today with Zachariah Thompson, who's going to be on my radio show next Tuesday, was, why me? Why did you ask me? What was it about me? And I just remember him being so vulnerable and being so authentic. And it's like we're like-minded, right? And so there's that power of that connection. And then there's also the power of people who are less like-minded, but we tend to stay away from them, which is interesting to me, because I think in today's society, like, if somebody has a different opinion, some people are like, well, we can't even like be friends or connect. And I am just the opposite. Like, teach me, share with me, tell me. Not that I'm ever may or may not change my mind, but I want to know. I want to be educated. I want to learn, because there's possibilities and opportunities everywhere. But if we just shut that down, like, that's what's wrong sometimes today in some of our clashes, right? Like, probably been going on forever, but I'm maybe just recognizing it a little
Yeah.
bit more now. So I don't
I agree.
get that out.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah,
And then about
awesome.
the book, I'm writing. So it's coming along. I'm actually almost done, which I'm pretty excited about. But
Amazing.
essentially it's kind of about it's kind of like the journey of you know, I don't want to get into all of it, but just kind of the journey of like realizing that like I was enough and that I didn't need somebody else to love me. I didn't need that. I mean, I needed how to love myself, love myself and in a healthy way before I can make the true connections that I have today. Because not loving myself and searching for that in another place was more damaging than not. And I think that's ultimately the theme of my book, is just learning to be enough for myself. And after I was able to do that, good things happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored, and I love you so much. And thank you
Love
for
you.
being here. And if people want
Thank
to
you
follow
for having
you,
me.
how do they follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at kingmanda_9. I'm sure it'll be
Nice.
linked into here. Or just look
Yep.
for me on regular Facebook at Amanda King.
Awesome. So, we'll just Geneva's giving you kissy faces, which is awesome. I don't know.
Love you, Geneva.
Can you see the comments as they come in too?
Kind of, yeah, a little
Kind
bit.
of. So now I'm just gonna ask you like some stuff about Instagram versus Facebook, and then I will let you go, and nobody else
No,
will
you
necessarily
take.
walk.
I cleared my
So
whole busy calendar for you.
thank you. And I know that you worked out so like before, so like before the whole day started. I couldn't even get out of bed after our leg workout yesterday. So I commend you for that. Like you were up and at it this morning. But so normally we do this on Facebook. I don't know. I know I can just save this on my story. I know I can save it and put it on like YouTube and stuff. I don't know if people can like replay like I don't know how like they can make comments. I don't know anything about that. But so when you're looking at your screen, you're up and down, right? And you're not this way, but this way. I know that seems
Yes.
funny, but are you now this is gonna sound bad. Are you on the top or the bottom?
I'm on
Are
the
you on-
bottom.
Okay. I giggle about that. Yeah. I'm just curious because sometimes it flips, right? So I was just curious because I'm looking like you are on the bottom half of my screen as well.
I'm
Family
definitely
show.
on the bottom today.
All right, awesome. So yeah, I don't know. Clever. I'm nodding. Amanda's on. Oh, so everyone can see you. Like you're on the bottom. This is amazing. So Geneva, do you think this is better than Facebook Live while you're on? Or anyone who's watching, is it better than Facebook Live? I don't know if people are watching that. It doesn't say because on Facebook sometimes people are watching. It doesn't say they're watching. It says there's 3 people, but I don't really know if there's more or less watching. Sometimes it doesn't tell me. So Geneva, is it better than Facebook or different or the same or doesn't really matter? And I know my parents, it's kind of like it better. But I don't know how to replay. I know we'll have to play around with the replay. But I know my parents don't have Instagram, and so I'm not sure how that's going to go over. But whatever. So okay, well thank you all. Plus it told me when you went live. Oh, doesn't Facebook tell you when it goes live? Maybe only if
I think you have to invite on Facebook. Like you have to invite everybody, unless the person follows you plus likes you and you're friends with them. It won't tell you automatically if they're live.
They want to be friends with me. Yeah. So okay, well I'm just gonna keep experimenting with Instagram and see what happens. That is easy to see. Okay, that's good feedback too. Okay, so I'm gonna, if it goes on my story, it goes on my story. If not, I'll put it on YouTube. Hopefully it will go on YouTube. Thank you, Amanda. I love you, and I will see you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Love you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.